Necessary, however, that the colons and the periods should neither be curtailed nor prolix. For when the periods are very short, they cause the hearer to stumble frequently. For the mind of the hearer being impelled farther to the end which he had proposed to himself, stumbles as it were when the orator stops short. But prolix periods cause the auditors to be left by the orator, just as those who in walking pass beyond the boundaries of their walk, for they leave their companions behind. In a similar manner, periods which are long become themselves an oration, and resemble diffuse diction. Whence that jest of Democritus the Chian upon Melanippides, who dilated in his writings instead of making antistrophes. This man frames evil for himself, in framing evil for another. But to dilate much is the worst of evils to him who does it. For a thing of this kind may be aptly said to those who use long colons. Very short colons, however, do not become periods. These, therefore, hurry away the auditor with them precipitately. But of periodic diction, which consists of many colons or members, one kind is distinct, and the other opposite. And the distinct, indeed, is such as the beginning of the panegyric of Isocrates. I have often admired those who collected public assemblies, and instituted the gymnastic contests. But the opposite is that which consists of many colons, and in which either the same thing is composed with contraries, or contraries are composed with contraries, as in the panegyric of Isocrates. The Athenians benefited both those that remained at home and those that followed ; for they acquired more for those that followed them, than they possessed at home, and they left sufficient for the support of those that stayed behind. Here the contraries are staying and following, sufficient and more. And again, in the same oration, So that to those who were in want of money, and to those who were willing to enjoy it, &c. Here enjoyment is opposed to acquisition. Farther still, It frequently happens in these things that prudent men are unfortunate, and the imprudent are prosperous. And immediately, indeed, they obtained the rewards of brave men, and not long after they became masters of the sea. Another example is, He sailed indeed through the continent, but walked through the sea. He joined the Hellespont, but dug through Mount Athos. And being citizens by nature, but by law deprived of a city. For some of them, indeed, perished miserably, but others were shamefully preserved. And privately, indeed, they used barbarian servants, but publicly overlooked many of their allies that were in slavery. And to have them when living, or leave them when dead. Or what a certain person said against Pitholaus and Lycophron in a court of justice, They sold you, indeed, when they were at home, but when they came to us they were themselves bought. For all these instances make the above mentioned periodic opposite diction. Diction, however, of this kind is pleasing, because contraries are most known, and when placed by each other are more known, and also because they resemble a syllogism. For an elenchus, or syllogism of contradiction, is a collection of opposites. A thing therefore of this kind is antithesis. But adequation takes place when the colons or members are equal, as, The father died in battle, the son was married at home. And assimilation is, when both the colons have similar extremes. But it is necessary that they should have similar extremes, either in the beginning or the end. And the beginning indeed has always similar nouns, but the end has the last syllables similar, or cases of the same noun, or the same noun. In the beginning, indeed, the similar extremes are such as in the following instances. He received land from him, but it was uncultivated land, and appeased with gifts, and mollified with words. But the similar extremes in the end are, They did not think that he had brought forth a boy, but that he was the cause of his birth." In great cares, and in little hopes." Cases of the same noun are such as, But he deserves to have a brazen statue, though he is not worthy of brass, i.e. of a brazen coin." And an instance of the repetition of the same noun is, You while he was living defamed him, and now he is dead right ill of him." But an instance when there is a similitude alone in the last syllable is, What evil have you suffered, if you have seen an indolent man?" A period also may have all these at once, so as not only to consist of opposite, but also of equal, and similarly ending colons. The beginnings, however, of periods are nearly all of them enumerated in our Theodectean Rhetoric. There are likewise false oppositions, such as Epicharmus made, Then I was one of them, then I was with them." CHAPTER X. These things, therefore, being discussed, let us now show whence polite and the most approved diction is derived. To speak politely, therefore, is the province of an ingenious man, or of one who is exercised in elocution. But to show the sources from whence polite diction is derived belongs to this method, i.e. to rhetoric. We shall therefore unfold and enumerate what they are. Let the beginning, therefore, be this. To learn easily is naturally delightful to all men. But names signify something. Hence, such names as cause us to learn are most pleasing. Foreign tongues, therefore, are unknown, but proper words we know. Metaphor, however, especially causes diction to be polite. For when the poet says that Old age is stubble," he produces in us learning and knowledge through the genus, i.e. through the agreement of old age and stubble, since both produce a defloration. The image, therefore, of poets produce indeed the same thing, and hence if they are well employed, the diction will appear to be polite. For an image, as we have before observed, is a metaphor, differing from it in the collocation, on which account it is less pleasing because it is a longer simile, and it does not say this thing is that. Hence, in a metaphor, the mind does not investigate the similitude, i.e. its attention is not diverted from the object to which it is directed. That diction, therefore, and those enthymemes must necessarily be polite, which cause us to learn or produce in us knowledge rapidly. Hence, neither are superficial enthymemes approved, (for we call those enthymemes superficial, which are manifest to every one, and which require no investigation,) nor such as when produced are not understood, but those only render the diction polite which are understood as soon as they are uttered, though there was no previous knowledge of them, or which shortly after lead us to the knowledge of something, of which we were ignorant. For by the latter enthymemes discipline is, as it were, produced, but by no means by the former. Enthymemes, therefore, of this kind are approved from the sense of meaning of the diction. Urbanity, however, is produced in the figure or form of the diction, if contraries are opposed to contraries, as in the oration of Isocrates de Pace, And they thought that the peace, which is common to the other Greeks, was war to their own private affairs. For here war is opposed to peace. Urbanity also is produced in names or words, if they are metaphorical, and the metaphor is neither foreign, for this is difficult to understand, nor superficial, for this does not affect the hearer. Farther still, urbanity in diction is produced, if the thing itself is placed before the eyes, for it is more necessary to see what has been, than what will be done. It is requisite, therefore, to pay attention to these three things, viz. metaphor, antithesis, and